Welcome back, Rankers. Thank you for all the comments on last week's show. Just following up on that, the Mumbrella story, which mentioned Jeff Emerson, who was advocating the use of paid comments as a legitimate marketing technique. He said in the article that it was an SEO technique and that his clients were getting value out of him paying people to go and leave comments in other people's blogs with backlinks to his clients. In case you missed last week's show, I don't approve of that sort of technique because, number one, you're passing your marketing costs on, and if you want to somebody else, and if you want to find out what I think of it, I would suggest that you type prosperity principle into Google Pages from Australia, and you will see my blog post on it and vlog post on it there. However, just as a quick follow-up, we picked up some really good links during the week from a couple of other blogs. Nothing that we were expecting. But what it showed to me is that unless you're getting a link at the top of the blog or you're featured in that blog post with a link, you're not going to get a lot of click-throughs. I don't care how busy the blog is. So Jeffrey Emerson's technique of posting links into comments in blogs isn't going to work because you're not going to get that many links. You're going to be way down on the page where people are actually looking, and you're going to get very few click-throughs. Now, if you're doing it for purely SEO purposes, then there's even less value because SEO purposes won't work anymore because most people are using what we call the no-follow tag now in their blogs when you post a comment, so that it automatically says to the search engines, don't follow this link, and it takes any link love away that you may have got 6 months ago. Today, everybody's no-following their links that are left in their comments. Simply because of this reason, people are paying people to go and spam people's blogs. Anyway, enough said about that. Let's get back to having a look at someone's site. This is Jerry from the UK. And look, Jerry, I've got to say, you sell trophies. And I think it's pretty decent of you to ask me to come and have a look at your site. And you don't have one cricket trophy on the front page of that site. So thank you very much for that, mate. Appreciate that. So we're going to have a look at your site today. First thing, let's go and have a look at the code. Now, don't get scared with the code. This is pretty basic stuff we're going to look at today. Just a couple of things that I noticed straight off here. You've got, this is your what we call the head section. You really should have your title, which tells the search engines about your page, what your page is about, as the first element within that head. Now, you've actually got there your title twice. You should only have one title, so that's bad. So get rid of one of those and make sure it's the first one in that head tag. And then I've gone and had a look and see if yes, you do have descriptions. And have a think about your key phrases. I'm guessing it's discount trophies you want to rank for because it's everywhere. It's the name of the URL. You should be doing okay with that. Now, I haven't gone and checked to see where you are actually ranking, but one of the things that you try to do is really focus the key phrases that you're targeting, which is great, except you've got discount trophies last here in your page title, it's first here in your URL, and it's really early here in the page, but it's late here in your page title. If you wanted to rank for discount trophies, I'd probably be moving that right to the start of the title, fixing up those titles in your head tag. And this here, I see you've formatted this as a heading 1, which is great. However, it's probably too many words for a heading 1. I wouldn't usually put that many words in a heading 1. I'd probably just lose the welcome to as well because they're diluting the strength of the other keywords in that heading. And I'd probably just make discount trophies the main heading, so a heading 1, and then I'd probably even look at making these as subheadings, heading 2, and a heading 2, if you can put a little bit more information that is relevant to those subheadings on that front page. And of course, name your images. Name your images with keywords. Oops, I just clicked on that and I didn't mean to. Name your images with keywords. I've done a header check because I thought there was some weird redirection happening at the site at the beginning. But I've done a header check over it, and if you need a header checker tool just to make sure that your site has been served properly, then you can head across to SEOconsultants.com tools headers.asp and put your URL in there, and it'll tell you whether you have a correct hosting configuration. Now I'm just going to put in any old gobbledygook into this, and this is great. We've got a 404 not found. That's what I wanted to see. A lot of sites that we see don't have correct 404s, which can be a real problem. A 404 response from the server is basically telling the browsers, the search engine bots, that that page doesn't exist. The mistake that some sites make is that if someone types in anything, they just send them to the front page. The problem with that is that it can be confusing to search engines, not so much browsers, but certainly it can be confusing to search engine bots, and it's not best practice, so they'll probably keep you down in the rankings. That is it for today's show. I will leave you with the final bit of the interview that I did with David Meerman Scott at the Social Media Masterclass a couple of weeks ago. It was excellent, and have a look at this if you are into social media. And I've been meaning to say, and I've said it on my blog, if you are into social media, I'd love to know what you think of the documentary How Kevin Bacon Cured Cancer. It's a great documentary about the science of networks, and any social media experts out there who have seen it, I'd love to read a blog post about it. And we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye. I get a lot of people saying to me, "Oh, Jim, Twitter's a waste of time, Facebook's a waste of time, these things. Who wants to know, when I'm going to the toilet or not?" I mean, what's the...
I do.
Well, we have a relationship there. We'll discuss later. But what do you say to people like that? How do I make money out of Twitter?
I think that when someone says something the way you've described it, they usually have not yet gone onto Facebook or Twitter. So they're reacting to what they've heard or what they've read about or what they've heard their friends talk about. So I actually don't think everyone needs to be on Twitter. I don't think everyone needs to be on Facebook. I do think, though, that every organization ought to understand how are the people that they want to reach looking for products and services like theirs. Are they going to Google or the other search engines? And if so, you need to create content that will generate information that the Google search engines will find. I mean, your business is great at doing SEO, and with fantastic content and a little bit of SEO juice, I mean, you can own the search results for the important phrases, but you can't do it without content.
Yeah.
So, again, social media has all of these people have specific ideas that social media equals Facebook and Twitter. It doesn't. I think in my mind it's anything that anyone can create online, which is extremely broad.
Yeah.
And therefore, I believe every organization ought to be doing it, but not every organization ought to be on every single platform.
And just finally, because I know you've got to go and speak to these people, where do you see things like portability and social media, location-based services, those sorts of things fitting into?
I think that mobile devices are becoming increasingly important for the ways that people communicate. More and more people are just using an iPhone or BlackBerry or something as their social media device or as their content generation device. And the GPS component of that is becoming increasingly important. I'm fascinated by that. What that's going to mean in the future, who knows? I mean, we're all making this stuff up as we go along. But that's an interesting aspect, and certainly, to be watched how you can, particularly for businesses that are very local, restaurants and clubs and bars and whatever, it's going to be really important to be thinking about that.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Appreciate your time, and
absolutely.
Safe trip back to US.
Thank you.
Thank you.